Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back from New York City. We're here live, of course, with WCS America round of 16. Both players are ready. Nick, if you don't mind, I'm going to hit the start game button.
Let's do it. Let's get right into game two. Game one was really interesting. Snute came out with his upgraded speed lean, third base, and now your opponent's third base strategy, really using counterattacks to try to keep Nestea at bay. But Nestea made enough spine cards back at home that the counterattacks just didn't keep his forces on the defensive for quite long enough.
You know, I thought Snute played that pretty darn well considering the circumstances. Very cool strategy. You know, I don't know how much it had to do with the the new spore crawler change. How you can kind of do more stuff and stay safe from the mutas, but don't count Snute out for a second. I know it's Nestea. I know he created the universe, but Snute definitely held his ground in game number one. Let's see what happens in game two. It's going to be on Belshir Vestige, and I am proud to introduce our players. In the bottom right-hand location, we have your Blue Zerg player, who must win 2 games in a row here to advance to the winner's final. Representing Team Liquid and hailing from Norway, he is Snute. His opponent, in the top left-hand location, has not yet dropped a game in this entire WCS America tournament so far. Hailing from Korea and representing Team Incredible Miracle, he is Nestea.
The Nestea overload heading across the map. Of course, in Zerg vs. Zerg, if you guys out there, when you scout your opponent on a 2-player map, always send that overlord towards your opponent's natural expansion. Of course, that's why I see both overlords not touching in the middle of the map because they're both heading to the natural of the opponent. The timing of when your opponent takes the hatch pretty much tells you their exact opening.
Absolutely. What do you suggest about, like, do you ever do any, like, I've been playing a lot of Zerg lately, and something you obviously want to see is that pool timing as far as, all right, is he doing like a 6 pool or something, a crazy early pool that will exploit my fast expansion? Is there a way you can kind of send your overlords to hopefully spot the links? Do you ever do that?
Yes, that's actually very important. And if you send your overlord to your opponent's natural, usually it should cross the path in time to see the speedlings come out, or excuse me, the slow zerglings come out from an early pool ideally. Some maps, it just might not be possible, and in fact, some maps you see Zerg players send their zerglings in weird routes because they know where their opponent's overlord is going to be. So there's a lot of mind games with those early pools. But usually, as long as you get to the natural, you can tell what's going on.
Yep.
Early pools have been losing some favor with the Zerg players being able to micro the drones so well, it can be hard to do enough damage.
That's awesome. Of course, both these guys able to spot each other's expansion timings, and interestingly enough, this game, Nestea is going to be the one going for that earlier gas. Already approaching 100, pulling drones off of gas, so we can start that speed right away. Snute, meanwhile, similarly timed pool, but kind of delaying the gas a little bit. So his speed is going to be a little bit later, which means he's going to have more mineral income as this game goes forward, enabling him to build probably an extra queen or a little bit more drones than his opponent, but not going to be a gigantic advantage. Of course, it's not like it's 10 full versus 15 hatch. Oh gosh, is Snute going to get this overlord?
That would be a big win for Snute. These overlords early in the game are so important. 100 minerals now is 2 more drones, which turns into several hundred minerals later down the road.
It's Nestea trying to be like Snute last game. Remember, Snute barely didn't lose one of his overlords. Nestea not able to do the same thing. Great pickup there from Snute, and that has to lift his spirits. As this game gets started, we can already see a pretty severe supply discrepancy for this point in the game, 33 to 27. So let's see how Snute can take advantage.
You know what's interesting is Snute has no overlords outside his opponent's natural right now. In fact, he's actually positioning one behind his opponent's natural to keep an eye on the gas timings.
Look at the production, Mr. Nick.
Oh, this is so bad for Snute that he doesn't have those spotting overlords out on the map because Nestea is actually massing zerglings. Ideally, you'd see these when they leave the natural. But Snute doesn't have that overlord in position quite yet.
I guess he can see the lack of drones, the natural with that other overlord. Oh no, he's not quite close enough to see it. This is so important, ZBZ. You said it. You want to be able to see these links as fast as possible so you can start preparing. Right now, if Snute saw this, he would have banelings in production. All we're seeing are drones. He's even taking gases. This could be disastrous for Snute.
Snute does have 2 queens. If he can position both queens between the bane nest and hatchery, of course, they can fight together very well. One queen is in position. Nestea bypasses, goes straight to the main. Snute's queen tries. Oh, a nice positioning on the queen there at the main base, actually. and he can evacuate the drones. Can he get enough Banelings out in time?
Looks like the Queen is getting taken out. 3 Banelings being made. It looks like at the natural expansion, we're going to have beautiful connection here from Snute. Nestea sneaking by, taking Snute completely off guard. Banelings getting 1 detonation. That's a great pick off. Another Baneling in production. Going to take out some more Lings, and now some Lings are out here from Snute. And Snute actually doing a great job holding off this push. Income tab is 31-21 in favor of the Norwegian Zerg, and Nestea did not accomplish necessarily what he wanted to.
Wow, a brilliant defense by Snute there. The Queens really distracted the Speedlings for long enough to the drones to get away. And then when the Speedlings came after the drones, 2 massive Baneling hits pretty much destroyed this offense before Snute even took any significant losses at all.
Now, Snute just spent all of his gas on Banelings, which means he did not get speed started. So these Lings can be very annoying here from Nestea for a good amount of time, as Snute, again, is remining that gas so we can get that speed started. But, you know, Snute, based on... He didn't see that until I think the Lings were basically in his natural expansion. So, you know, that being considered... it was great hold there from Snute.
It really was. And one thing that made that hold possible is Snute identified his opponent's expansion timing. Saw it was a tiny bit on the late end and knew his opponent might have speed fast, so got the Bane Nest before he started his own speed.
Forcing a cancel on a spine here at Nestea's natural expansion, targeting down a Queen as well, but slow Lings are no fun. 2 Banelings coming forward, trying to get some damage done. Wow, killing another spine crawler. So Snute doing a great job here, trying to force Nestea to make some Lings. But, you know, Nestea identifying, okay, dude, those are slow Lings. I know they're left over. I'm not falling for it. Make nothing but drones in that production tab. Also a layer on the way. Meanwhile, Snute going for the delayed layer once again, instead getting a faster third.
Faster third, a single evolution chamber this game, so saying, you know what, last game the double upgrades may not have been entirely worth it. I'll just get to armor upgrading. I can still have the fact that it's going to take 2 Banelings to kill my Speedlings. It'll give me a little more money to get the infestation pit a little bit faster, the lair tech a little bit faster, and also if I'm going to go to an infestor roach once I get lair anyway, the melee attack isn't quite as worth it.
Only 1 engineer actually adding on a second
there we go.
chamber. There we go. Yeah, there it is. And let's see what he upgrades. +1 trophies.
He's probably going to go the melee upgrade again. This game, of course, the Speedlings are so useful to denying your opponent's third base.
Sure.
And playing a style where you're going to potentially give up map control against an opponent who might go muteless,
yes,
you really want to delay that third base for as long as possible. Nestea, actually, he's getting a Roach Warren kind of early. Yeah, so...
A safety Roach Warren, I guess? I mean, he saw the third, so unless he wants to apply pressure, maybe he wants to fake, like make like 4 Roaches, get his opponent to react, and then come in with the mutas later?
Actually, with the evolution chamber coming up, almost a couple hits there, I think Nestea's going to fake the other way around. Yes! He's going to hope that Snute scouts the Spire with an Overseer, with an Overlord, but really he's just going to do a mass a Roach time, where he might even get 4 to 5 mutas first, take map control, clear out the Overlord so Snute can't see the attack coming, and then hit with a massive Roach Force.
All right, let's keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, we have some Ling versus Ling skirmishing in the middle of the map. Nestea having to be careful to avoid those Banelings from his opponent. 1-1 on the way here from Snute. Snute does not want that engagement. The 2 Banelings coming forward, trying to get those detonations. There's the flank from Snute, but Nestea being very annoying indeed. Keep in mind, Snute has had this third base up for a while, so, you know, I don't know how much that plays into this, because if Nestea doesn't get his third up soon, I'm a little bit worried as far as the game goes along. Because if he doesn't get the third up, he's going to have to get a lot of damage done off of 2 bases.
Snute just sent 2 Banelings to the front of Nestea's base. If he saw the Roach Warren wiggling, I think he might have. He definitely sees it now. Okay. This is so important for Snute, seeing the fact that Roaches are a threat. Of course, he has to be able to defend both threats, and if he overreacts to one threat, there's a threat of a +1 speed Roach timing. A +1 from Roaches will counteract that +1 armor on the Zerglings of Snute, but also there's a threat of Mutalist.
Yeah, he has no idea.
Yeah, these 7 Mutalists could do so much damage. Of course, Spore Crawlers do build quickly, so if his Overlord spots it, he can reactively build Spores.
He needs to spot this Muta play. 7 have just been finished. But as you said before, Nestea going straight into Roach production after this.
When is he going to spot the Mutas? Does the Speedling see them? He sees them now, I think.
Yes, I think he absolutely does. I'm looking at that production tab, and he spores, and he spores, and he spores.
Come on, Snute.
No spores.
Oh no, this could be really bad. Of course, he's not going to lose his bases, but he is going to take a lot of drone damage.
Spores just now in production. Ling's able to deny the third base of Nestea, now advancing into the natural expansion. Muta's doing a lot of damage in the main. Drones running for their lives. The Spore Crawler desperately trying to get finished, but Snute once again caught off guard by this Mutalisk play, and again, the follow-up might be just as scary. Nothing but Roaches in production here from Nestea, and he's going to want to do a lot of follow-up damage. Snute has to be careful not to overreact to these Mutas. because we have something just as severe following it straight up.
Oh, it looks like Snute wants to put on aggression, though. His forces are coming in.
Oh my gosh, it's so many units here from Snute. A bunch of Lings and Roaches, but here are all the Roaches here from Nestea. Snute might see this and be like, all right, I'm back with the Baneling, trying to get some solid detonations, but nice transfusion, I guess. There's something that heals those Roaches back up, but Snute charging into the natural expansion. I'm not sure if he has enough, though. Of course, Nestea has been making units this entire time. The Muta's returning back here to help out. Snute trying to get that damage done. He can afford to do this because he has 3 bases, so at the very least, Snute is able to identify exactly what Nestea is up to.
Oh, if he can get a lot of drone kills. He's actually attacking at 2 places now. The natural is going to be defended by Nestea, but meanwhile, the main base, so many drones are going down, and Nestea, he needs to put pressure on Snute. If he loses drones, he can't rally enough Roaches to hit that big counterattack he wants to hit.
Nestea down to 29 Harvesters. Snute is at 40. Snute doing a great job here, targeting down his opponent economy while keeping his economy flourishing back home. Lings heading into the natural expansion. Snute just providing a relentless amount of aggression, a relentless amount of pressure, keeping an eye on that third base, sending units to both the main and the natural expansion, trying to take down the economy of his opponent. And now Nestea is in a pretty desperate situation. He's down to 24 Harvesters, nearly half of his opponent Harvesters. I think Nestea has to get a lot of damage done soon.
He definitely does, but he also has to defend that third base if he doesn't want to be committed to an all-in. And the Mutas are not going to be enough to save this hatchery.
Again, those are 1-1 Lings, and that hatchery is going to get canceled, so Nestea has to start making decisions. Do I try to hold out there? Do I try to extend this into the late game? Or do I just put everything into one push and try to break my opponent? Something that's not so simple, considering he's only on, again, 24 Harvesters to his opponent's 46. Snute, he needs to make nothing but units at this point. If he can prevent the units from Nestea from doing a lot of damage, he's going to be in a great position in this game.
Nestea's pretty much committed to doing an all-in attack, of course. What Nestea's going to want to do is recognize the fact that his opponent doesn't have mobile anti-air. So if he can use the Mutas to force his opponent's units to stay in one of the bases, his Roaches could attack the other one, and that could be a way to catch back up. But, you know, Snute is so far ahead in drones that even if he loses the third base, he actually is still going to be ahead. Nestea almost has to totally end the game with his next Roach attack.
Snute just going across the map here, not caring too much about the Mutas, I guess just considering it a massage for those Roaches. They're going to be charging towards his opponent's side of the map, and now Nestea might have to be on the defensive again. 15 drones, 16 drones in production here from Snute. He's charging straight for that natural expansion, but Nestea has a lot of stuff. I think this can be one way Snute can lose this game. If he loses his entire army, and then Nestea just counters as fast as he can across the map.
That could be bad for Snute. Of course, the advantage is Snute can now realize his opponent is not joining up. When he sees this many Roaches, he now recognizes his opponent is committing to kill him. In fact, Nestea, a brilliant move, he's going to send the Roaches to attack. He doesn't want a Roach versus Roach battle because if he loses his Roaches, his opponent can rebuild them faster than he can. But in a base race, anybody can win, and with the Mutas here, he will eventually clear up Snute's Roaches. The question is, can Snute defend the Roach attack from Nestea?
I would almost consider spining up the main or the natural expansion because Nestea charging right across the map here, essentially a base trade situation. Snute trying to get damage done with the Roaches across the map while Nestea charging into the natural expansion. Snute desperately trying to get more and more units on the field, but this is such a tricky position for Snute because as his units come out, they're going to come out one by one, and Nestea is all together on his side of the map. Snute is going to have to back up with his Roaches that were across the map and try to defend against this counter push from Nestea.
Snute needs to defend this counter. His main is where he's mobilizing his defense, pulling 2 hatcheries of Roaches reinforcements there. He's going to defend Roaches in his main, taking a look at the rest of the bases. His natural goes down, but I think he's going to defend.
This Muta's still being super annoying in the air. They've been following these Roaches around all day long. And now Snute might be deciding to go across the map once and for all, trying to close out his opponent. But the Mutas, again, still proving very effective in this whole process. Again, Nestea took down this natural expansion, but the third is still alive. The main is still alive. They're essentially both still on 2 bases. Nestea's still at 24 Harvesters. I think Snute is still in a great position in this game.
Snute, with twice the economy of his opponent, knows that if he can get into these Roach trades, he's going to overwhelm his opponent in the war of attrition. Nestea, recognizing there's too many Roaches, he needs more time for the Mutas to chip away at him.
Roach Warren. That's actually pretty huge. That means Nestea will only be able to make, I guess, Mutas and Lings to defend against the remaining army of Snute. Snute charging into the main base. He wants to win this once and for all, taking down every single Roach here. The Mutas still being annoying from above, but I don't think they're going to have time to DPS down this Roach army before he loses his entire main base.
Oh, man.
There's the GG.
What a beautiful game there by Snute.
Wow.
Tying up the series 1-1. And you know, it all started with that perfect defense from that speeding attack. He actually he missed out it. He didn't have the overboard to see. But the queen positioning was so key there, because normally what happens is you might lose 8-9 drones before you can get the banings up, before you can get your own Zerglings out to defend. But the queens bought so much time. They were the real heroes of that defense, and with that macro advantage Snute had, he knew exactly how to play it out, continually denying his opponent's third base to allow him to just outproduce Nestea.
And then he got into that position that we all get in at one point. We're like, I win, I win, I have it, I got this. But you can't just say that against Nestea. Nestea tried everything he could. He went for the counterattack. He had mutas everywhere, and you have to be so careful when you're facing off against mutas in a base trade, because it can turn very sour for you if you don't prepare adequately. But Snute doing as good as he could, making sure to hold on to that lead and convert himself a victory in Game 2. Guys, that means we are tied 1-1 in this best of 3. Snute versus Nestea. This is the first match of WCS America round of 16. The winner of this next game will advance to the winner's match. Guys, stay tuned. Game 3 coming up.